soup. Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I am Morrow, your storyteller for today. With me I have some more RPG horror stories. You know what I would love to do sometime? Not anytime soon, honestly, but at some point, a content creator one-shot. Get together with some RPG horror stories or just D&D tubers or D&D VTubers even potentially, and just try to do some sort of like a silly little one-shot together where we go from point A, point B, and there's just a lot of chaotic memes inside. Maybe even have some sort of like a soup reference in there. Maybe, potentially. Anyway, let's get some RPG horror stories for today. AITA for refusing to change character race. I think it's more of an AITA story than a horror story, but I'm upset and want to share. Also, I apologize for the possible incorrect use of the term furry. There may be a language barrier here, and I don't want to offend people who are into anthropomorphic animals. I joined the paid games in a paid club, so it's basically about paying DM and club separately. It's a common practice here. The DM I never played before in a club, I never visited before. It was a big one-shot or a doublet, like 6 to 9 hours of gameplay planned. So there was no session 0. Instead, everything should be approved by the DM in private messages. DMs looking for players post didn't have any details about which materials are allowed to use in character creation. So I messaged him and asked if I could pick a homebrew race. He said yes, if it's not the same kind of overpowered crap. Well, I have a hard hyperfixation for chinchillas right now, so I picked a chinchilla race. I'm curious to see what this chinchilla race is all about. Chin. Oh my god, there's no way that's named Chin Chin. Oh my god, that is hilarious. If you didn't know, Chin Chin stands for penis in Japanese. So the fact that your race is literally called penis in Japanese is hilarious. Chin Chin! Oh my god, that is hilarious! Well, anyway, let's go through and check it out here. Chin Chin are small humanoid creatures resembling anthropomorphic chinchillas. Dexterity score of 2, intelligence score of 1. Reach adulthood around 5, up to 34 years. Size small, speed 30, climb 30. Languages read, speak, or write common Sylvan. You get dark vision up to 60 feet. Fur resilience due to your thick and luxurious fur. You have the advantage of saving throws against cold damage. Nimble escape. You can take disengage or hide action as a bonus action on each of your turns. Keen sense, have sharp hearing and acute senses, grant proficiency in perception skills. Roll reflexes. When you're subject to an effect that allows you to make a dexterity saving throw, take only half damage, you instead take no damage on a successful save and half damage on a failed save. Alright, well, everything else seems to be pretty standard except the last one. The last one might be a little bit strong. I mean, give it to any class, you basically have the evasion ability from Rogue, which they get at level 7. And I think Monk get at level 7 as well. But either way, starting off with basically an evasion skill, just like that, kind of powerful. If it was like once every long rest that you can use this, that'd be something there, but being able to benefit from everything, damn. Basically, you could just benefit, everybody can benefit from that skill. Holy hell, that is powerful. And send the link to the DM with my character sheet and list of my veils. The DM approved my chinchilla wizard, Chin Chin wizard, and everything was seemingly going smooth. Day of the game came to the club just a little before beginning, and I was the third one out of 5 of players to come. 2 guys in DM were already there. DM greeted me, then asked me to go with him a bit away and said that he had to cancel my chinchilla. It was sad but predictable. I mean, homebrew is homebrew. Well, not even homebrew specifically, like the issue is literally the final skill. You get a skill that a rogue would get at level 7, but you get it at level 1, literally. It depends on the type of campaign you're playing and stuff, could be extremely powerful. Like, if it's a skill that you could use like once every long rest, that'd be fine. That'd be perfectly fine. That'd be okay. But you get it just immediately and you benefit from it all the time? Damn, that is powerful. So, should I switch to an official race? Yes, you can take the empty sheet and we'll be patiently waiting for you. We can always wait for a lady. Weird wording, but fine. Okay. As I said, I was ready for the DM to decide to drop away a homebrew race. I have a placeholder character that I always keep in my Google Docs. It's a Haragon Barbarian. Chaotic good, simple backstory, could be played as a broken bird with PTSD, or a cute stupid bun, depending on the tone of the game. I can hop with her into any game. So I briefly rewrote her stats from Google Docs to the sheet and gave it to the DM, only to know that homebrew itself wasn't a problem. Well, Haragons are like bunnies, right? Herons, but kinda yes. So our backstory is basically the same that Chinchilla had. Haragons were soldiers in the Civil War of fairies. So it's a furry, right? Yes, I promise there won't be any naughty stuff or something. I want to love furries, my players don't want it. He nodded towards the guys. If you didn't want any furries, you should have just said, hey, only humanoids, no animal-like races, for reasons unspecified. You know, it wouldn't be that difficult. Just say, okay, this is list what you can be, and that's that. Just go with that. I understand that animal-based race is not for everyone, something they're overpowered, something that they are destroying the atmosphere of classic fantasy. But in the original post, the DMs didn't say anything about restrictions or sources or race types. Are furries overpowered? Are furry races in D&D overpowered? No, they're not. No, they're not. Also, I mean, it makes sense to have like a furry-like race like Tabaxi or Haragon or anything from the Humble Folk series. It is amazing. They're adorable. The Hedge, the Gerbine, God, they're so cute. All the bird folk. It's perfect fantasy, folky kind of stuff, and I love it. It's so good. Yes, there could be some furry or anthropomorphic creatures that could exist in D&D. I mean, the Kenku, Aarakocra, the kind of furry, sort of, the more birdy, feathery, but you know what I mean. Haragon are perfectly fine to have in the campaign. I allow my players to play Haragon. I allow my players to play all kinds of things, to be honestly. But like when it comes to anything official D&D material, I allow my players to play that, no problem. It is strange though the DM didn't specify, please no furry race selection, please. If they would have done that, I feel like this player wouldn't even have this kind of an issue. They would be having this interaction. This wouldn't turn to an RPG horror story. This wouldn't be a problem in the first place because the DM specifically says, I don't want furries on my table. Please don't make a furry. Make this selection here, but this is limited. You can't make this because reasons. Don't even have to specify reasons. Just say, not in my game, and that's it. And go from there. Bob's your uncle. Almost all my characters are built around animal-based races. I'm not part of the furry community, but I like furries. And Haragons, Loxodons, Kenkus are just top-notch races for me. Not only because of the design, but because of the features too. So if DM says no furries, or player handbook races only, etc., I just know this game is not for me. Someone tried to join it. There was nothing about no furries in the calling post. Yes, but let's have respect for each other. My players don't want to play with furries, and I don't want to play without them, so I think I joined the wrong party. Sorry. You can't just go. Then he explained that this club, the rent of the table costs 10 per table, no matter how many players are there. So if I go, the rest of the players will pay 2.5 instead of 2. DM said that it looks like fraud on my part. I paid around 70 cents for the subway to get into the club, only to know that I can't play any of the characters, so it's a fraudulent century nonetheless. That's sad, but I want to play my character, period. You should make your post more clear. Look, you can play any other character. And this is where I just turned and went away. No, I didn't ask other players, didn't try to find compromise, it was just too hella mad. I'm guessing that at least a few of the people who signed up for the game were regular players of this DM, because he repeatedly referred to them as his players, which makes it even stranger that the DM didn't mention his regular players' no-nos in the original post. If they have a specific rule like no furries, they should probably make it very blatant and clear, considering the fact that you need to go to the place, you have to pay money to get into the place, to rent a table, that everybody has to pitch in for the table. It's already a lot of time and money that's being invested, and the least the DM can do is just say, hey, no furries. If he can't do that, yeah, get out. Don't play in a specific thing. Look for games where you do want to play whatever character you want to play, and if this DM wants to avoid this kind of issue in the future, simple as that, they can just say no furries at my table. Simple as that. And then they don't have to worry about people splitting the cost, or not many people splitting cost. Also, fraud. That is rich. That is honestly insane. Good thing you left. Thing you didn't listen to the nonsense and didn't stick around or do anything whatsoever. No, in this situation, you're not the a-hole. The DM is the a-hole, because not only are they saying like, oh no, you can't play furries, even though they check your character beforehand without reading anything specific, they could have said, oh hey, in the DMs, you know, when you message them beforehand saying, oh hey, I forgot to mention it, but no furries at my table. So you could have messed around or changed around or just chose not to show up and stuff early on. But no, they didn't say anything at all. They wait until you're there, take you away to the side, say, oh, you can't play your chin. That is still funny. But you can't play your little chinchilla. You can't play Kenku. You can't play anything at all. You can't play a Haragon or anything, Loxodon, whatever. But you have to stay at this table because everybody else is gonna pay $2.50 instead of $2. So you have to pay us money. Crazy. I'm glad you left. Let's move on to the next story for today. Incest RP Murder Hobo Party commits essay and necrophilia. What a title! I've long since played D&D with my older half-brother, my good friend from high school, and my ex-girlfriend. Things between me and my ex are not as awkward as you would expect. We also occasionally would get 1 to 3 more players, and we would usually play at my older brother's dad's house, usually when he's at work because he is a major dick. We sort of get typecast into certain D&D roles as a group. I'm usually the nerdy wizard or edgy warlock who's obsessed with magic like a maester in Game of Thrones. This time I was playing as a nerdy, nature-loving kobold druid. My ex-girlfriend would usually play as a beefy monster race like an orc or bugbear, but be kind of the straight man of the group, the lawful neutral. and this time she picked a fallen Aasimar paladin trying to regain his honor. My older brother, on the other hand, was kind of a wild card. Usually he would play either a hornball, a murder hobo, or most likely both. That's exactly what he did this time. A jacked out half-drop barbarian who is just as likely to kill the barmaid as he is to seduce her. The other players in our campaign were an Aasimar warlock and a goblin artificer. Our DM, my older brother's friend, set up a sandbox eldritch themed campaign. We began on a pirate ship along with a mercenary crew, and we went to his keep to raid it. Our party wanted to inspect it closely, which we did as the mercenaries looted the place. We ended up finding a map to the secret sword of the Old Ones deep in the Underdark. We went through a couple of cities and dungeons before we reached the first level of the Underdark, the kingdom of the ancient dragon, full of Underdark Dragonborn and their kobold slaves. Unfortunately, our campaign was abruptly paused by that point as my older brother's dad and him got into a fight. It got physical. I told you his dad is a major dick. This isn't even the first time he has gotten physical with my older brother or my other half-siblings. He moved in with his aunt, his dad's younger sister, but we still took a few weeks off to give him some space. His aunt was more than happy to let use her house, though always really close. It didn't take her long to want to play with us. She had played D&D before too and ended up joining us and rolling up a Sun Elf Barbarian. She was a lot like my older brother in the campaign, to be honest. The vibe a lot. She was also definitely more of a cool aunt that also hated her own brother because he bullied her both as a kid as an adult. She would constantly bring way too much booze and even cocaine once to the table, which made their antics even more insane. Wait, your aunt is bringing cocaine to the table? What? That's crazy. Your aunt is crazy. Maybe in a good way, maybe in a bad way, but I feel like hard drugs is definitely like a no-no at the table. Maybe? I don't know. Maybe it's a different time that you guys are playing in. Maybe cocaine was okay. Maybe it was like the 80s, like, oh, party favors, cool. A little bit of a snow angel dust. I don't know. They eventually ended up basically forming a band of murder hobos with my older brother, his aunt, Aasimar warlock, and goblin artificer, as me and my ex-girlfriend try to be the voices of reason. By the time we reached the second level of the Underdark to a kingdom of occultry Duragar, they ended up becoming a couple in game after they decided their characters were drunk enough to go have sex in the Duragar secret keep. Right, as Aasimar and Goblin were stealing the magic rubies. Okay, I had to reread the part about the booze and cocaine to be like, is this in character or just IRL? No, it's IRL. Specifically, this cool aunt is too cool for anything. Somebody should probably give an anonymous phone call and say, hey, my aunt is bringing cocaine to a D&D game, please. Could somebody please check in on her? Do like a... I don't mind what you want to do at your table, but if somebody's bringing hard drugs to the table, I feel like that's kind of a recipe for disaster because hard drugs don't exactly make it... I mean, just in general, being inebriated at the table while playing D&D is usually not a good recipe for a positive session. There are moments and times where you can go overboard when it comes to drinking or, I guess, doing drugs or any kind of recreational, I guess, substances, I guess, so to speak. There's a moment where you can do too much recreational substance at a D&D table where things just go belligerent. And trust me, I've been in many VR chat hangouts and drink parties and stuff. At some point, somebody drinks way too much and it goes absolutely insane. A dude broke his arm apparently the other day at just like a VR chat hangout, just drinking. And you know what he did? He just was hanging out in his room basically playing VR and somehow broke his arm. I guess he fell on it in a weird way. I don't know what happened, but if that's going on, then maybe you should probably start cutting back a little bit on the drinks and stuff. Just in general, when it comes to D&D, whenever somebody gets inebriated, it never goes like a positive story. There might be some tables out there that can maybe handle their drink and handle those substances, but if you're bringing booze and cocaine and mixing that together, I think the game is going to be derailed really, really fast. I think it's just a recipe for disaster, and turns out your aunt is just a average murder hobo, I guess, which is crazy. This behavior inevitably made us enemies to the Duragar as we fled down further and further into the Underdark, and these four kept coming up with more and more creative ways to murder NPCs, and increasingly screw their corpse. My aunt and older brother also kept making their elven characters more and more sexual towards each other from impromptu ERP scenes for shock value, and justifying them with, it's what my character would do, and even going as far as to AI generate their own real-life faces onto the lewd versions of the characters and sharing them in a group chat or private. You're probably asking why I kept playing. Well, I couldn't tell you for the life of me. I was 20 and felt that this was my group, and that's that, I guess. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. You got stuck in a situation and you couldn't do anything about it. Like, I get it. This was your group. There's nothing you could do really about it. I really wish you would have snapped out and said, this is not for me. I'm just gonna stop playing, and would have left. But let's finish the story. There's only a few more paragraphs left. But my ex did eventually leave the campaign. She said she was staying for me, but this was just too uncomfortable and, well, stupid. We pretty much abandoned all pretense of the story, just take the backseat to Murder Hobos just cutting through every NPC like a weed. What finally broke me when the 4 murder hobos had finally reached the last level of the Underdark along with me. We were all ready to fight. They decided they were gonna gangbang the Drow Empress who was guarding the Eldritch Sword we were looking for. They told me to be on a lookout while we do it. I just gave the DM a look like, bro, seriously? So he just shrugs his shoulders. I just said, nah, this isn't what my character would do. Like ever. I think I'm gonna dip. This campaign just isn't for me. My older brother was disappointed, but I feel like he understood. Did they? I feel like they all hopped up on cocaine that actually didn't even understand what the hell is going on. Like, seriously, like, it's one thing if, let's say, for example, you bring in fantasy drugs in your fantasy game, but doing actual hard drugs at the table is a massive red flag. I don't think we ever had a story where it's like, yeah, this Jeremy did meth once in D&D, and it was the best session ever. I don't think that exists. I don't think that ever exists. I think hard drugs and D&D just don't go well together. Hard drugs and anything really doesn't go well together. Somebody's bringing, if your aunt is bringing hard drugs, cocaine to the table, I don't think you should play at the table. I really don't think so. I feel like your aunt might be a really bad influence, honestly. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.